Hi, and welcome back. So, why am I here? Well, my story started from being overwhelmed, overworked, making decisions without really thinking about them. 2025 taught me to pause, pray, and then proceed because I was just making decisions. I wasn't really laying it out. And then when I became overwhelmed, I made even worse decisions. One of the things I want to let you guys know is whenever you are overworked and overstressed, take a moment, stop, pray, walk, ground yourself. Because people will come in. What do we know? We know that the devil comes in like a roaring lion, and he will disguise himself as perhaps someone who's being helpful to you. Well, that's my story. A particular person whom I met on Facebook dating came into my life, pretended that he was something that I found out he was not. He said, "Oh, let me help you." He really came in, what I thought was like a knight in shining armor, but he was a devil in disguise. He came in, I didn't realize he started interjecting himself into every aspect of my life: my clinic business, my multifamily property in Detroit, my home that is here in Los Angeles. And so, as I began to prepare for all the legal cases that ensued later, I really saw, what shall I say, the actual heart of that person. And I found out he was a malignant narcissist. This person has been unrelenting in just trying to destroy me. So I got here. Number one, he wasn't supposed to be on Facebook dating because I found out he was a convicted sex offender. And there was actually a policy against that. He helped me sell my property in Detroit, but really what he did was scam me out of $18,000. Then he, proposed a business relationship where I was already preparing my home for a residential care facility for the elderly. But he came in, "Oh, that's going to be a lot of work, but I have a business partner," whom I found out it was a lie. He never had a business partner, and one of my witnesses confirmed that he was never a business partner to this particular man. We'll just call him Mr. Rig, okay? And so I ended up doing a lease, a 14-month lease, and after reviewing my emails and texts, this person was upset that I only gave them 14 months. They were like, "Oh, I wanted a 3-year lease. Oh, I wanted a 3-year lease. I wanted a 3-year lease," because I looked at my text messages and I noticed that I didn't respond because of how he just kept on. And I was like, "I'm not giving you a 3-year lease because I need to come back into my home." Anyway, fast forward to that. I ended up giving the 14-month lease, not knowing that this person had a plan all along to actually try to take my home. And so he asked for a lease amendment. And I was like, "No, no, I'm not going to do it." So, thing two, let your no's be no. Set boundaries with people. Do not allow people to continue to weigh on you and try to wear you down. When your no is a no, let it be no. Do not allow anyone to come in and change your mind or change your decision. You got to go with your gut. And my gut was immediately no. But this person, "Oh, I'm going to buy a house, and well, you can stay in that house that I'm going to buy." And it was a lie because this person was broke. I have all the proof. This person was broke. We're going to call this person Day Day. So Day Day was broke, and Day Day was basically trying to take advantage of me because I was overwhelmed. So you've got to watch out your state of mind when you are overwhelmed. What do? Do not allow a person to come into your life and all of a sudden be your knight in shining armor, because that's not what this person was. So Day Day lied, defrauded me into a longer lease because I had a discussion with Day Day and I said, "This is just on paper. You know, this is not, a 3-year lease." And he agreed. But when I took my cars from him, because I had 3 cars, I still have them, Day Day got upset that I took my 2 cars from him because I noticed Day Day was driving my cars more than he was driving his own cars. What does that indicate to you? That Day Day was broke and that Day Day was using me. So I took my cars back. And the day I took my cars back, Day Day retaliated. And next thing I know, I had to hear, I'm going to talk to my lawyer. Don't talk to me. Oh, you're harassing me. And my head was spinning like I was in The Exorcist. I'm like, whoa, who is this person? What just happened? How did he turn on me? The person who sent me text messages, oh, you're going to be my wife, and oh, I love you, and oh, you're this, and just, you know, was just fluffing me up, but he was fluffing me with lies. So be careful when someone comes into your life and they are giving you all these accolades. Be careful when someone comes into your life and you're spending your money and they're spending zero. But they want to take all this responsibility, but they want to cut you out. Like I said, I was overwhelmed, I was overworked. So therefore, I got. But there's a lesson in this. I learned a lesson, and God showed me where something happened from my childhood. I remember my mother and father having a fight. Please, my mother will have a fit if she sees this. But if my hardship can become a testimony for you, then guess what? It's to help you. So I remember my parents having a fight. I remember it was just a mess. I must have been 7 or 8 years old. I remember the next morning waking up, going into the family room, the dining room, and my dad was sitting there. And when he turned and looked at me, I saw tears in his eyes, and I had never seen that. I'm a daddy's girl. I never saw my daddy cry. And I could see the hurt in my daddy's eyes. And it immediately just broke me down. Imagine 7 or 8 year old finding their parent, talking to them. And the parent is telling them they have to leave. You don't know why, you don't understand what just happened the night before. So I ran into the restroom. My dad came, knocked on the door because I locked myself in. And my nickname was Binky. He was like, Binky, what's wrong? Open the door. And I was just crying. I mean, I was crying my heart out. And he knew why. But then he called my mother. And my mother was asking, well, why is she in the bathroom? Why did she lock herself in? And of course, he said he didn't know. He did know. But the point of that story is 7 to 8 year old Regina saw her daddy cry. That was her everything. And now he's hurt, she's hurt, the whole family is hurt. But no one sat me down to talk to me about what happened. So my 8 year old mind had to process that. And it processed into Regina, you never want to see a man cry. You never want to see a man hurt. So help him, hold him, coddle him, do whatever you can. But you don't want to see a grown man cry again. And because it was my daddy, any man who came into my life, I basically, oh, you love me? Oh, let me protect you. And so God took me through that November of 2024. And I came to that realization with one of my friends who I consider to be a midwife to me. And Dithia, she's on Instagram. I think she's on TikTok. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, Regina, you've been choosing men who basically they're users, narcissists, and they want to take advantage of you. And I swear to you, since my divorce, that is exactly the type of men that I have gravitated towards, attracted, and let into my life. Because every single last one of them took from me money, time, and energy. So once God gave me that revelation, I took my cars back, okay, within a few months, because I was trying to figure out how to do it strategically because I had a feeling Day Day was going to basically strike back like a Darth Vader. And so therefore, once I took my cars back, everything changed. I was harassing him, talked to his attorney. So things really started because he had blocked me, really intimidated, manipulated me so that I wouldn't go and actually go to my house and do inspection and maintenance. It was always some excuse. Oh, no, those guys, they're out of jail. Oh, no, you can't go over there. No, it's not day. I'm going to, you know, no, just wait. And I was like, hold on, that's my home. That is an HVAC system that was like $15,000 to $20,000. Hold on, who's doing the maintenance on this? Who's making sure my filters are properly, cleaned? Who's making sure my furniture is intact? Hold on, I have a lot of personal stuff still there. So it got to the point I had to go to the police. The detectives told me what to do: post a 24-hour notice and just go in. Because all this other time I was emailing and texting Day Day so that I could come into the home. But if someone is using your things and they're trying to prevent you from actually carrying it out or using it, red flag. And that was one of the things I learned. I ignored the flags. You can't be too busy to ignore the flags. When a flag comes, you need to address that flag immediately. So please, please, please listen to your gut, because my gut was telling me something was wrong. But I mean, Day Day said he loved me. Day Day said, oh, I'm going to take care of you. No one's going to protect you like I will. But all the while, he wasn't praying for me, he was praying on me. And I didn't realize it because I'm okay. Relationships don't work out. That's fine. Go about your business and let me go about mine. I'm not a desperate woman. I'm a busy woman. I'm about business. Okay. So so Day Day has just been full of lies. So, I ended up getting into my home, but then he restricted me from seeing the bedrooms. Once I filed the notice, a 3-day notice to perform, and then eventually I did file an unlawful detainer, Day became super, super retaliatory. And that's what a malignant narcissist will do. Once you expose a narcissist, one of the main things they will do is actually retaliate against you. They will try to annihilate you. And that's exactly what Day has been up to. But Day didn't know I was protected, and I am protected. Day thought he could destroy me, but no weapon formed against me is going to prosper, and every tongue that rises up against me is going to fall. Why? He didn't know early on in my life I had put on the whole armor of God, the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, my belt, the belt of truth, my feet shod with the gospel of peace, and the sword of the Spirit. He didn't know that. See, just because I was vulnerable when you met me didn't mean I was a vulnerable person. I was vulnerable at that moment. And he made that mistake. He didn't know I was a tongue speaking, Bible praying person. He don't know my ancestors. So my ancestors have been watching over me through this entire thing. And he didn't know that the Holy Spirit would wake me up early mornings and just tell me a few words. I would go on it because Day exposed himself. He accused me of, oh, she's trying to destroy me. No, you destroyed yourself because God brought things to my attention that I didn't even know. So in this process, Day has filed a complaint with LAHD, which they closed basically because I didn't do anything wrong. He filed against me, but in court today, he lied, saying, oh, and like I filed a report. I didn't file no report. He did, you know. So I learned liars are going to lie, but the truth will come out. When will it come out? We don't know, but we just have to pray that God will expediently expose truth. So Day filed that on me. Day filed, he tried to get a restraining order and a civil harassment against me. I didn't know. I was even served. I was never served. So I didn't know what he had done. But in one of his emails, he mentioned a date. I'll see her May 29th. And I'm thinking to myself, what's May 29th? I filed an unlawful detainer, but I haven't gotten a court date yet. So here I go on the Superior Court website. So you guys need to familiarize yourselves with the court system in whatever city you're in. And there my name was, to my surprise. Why would you file a temporary restraining order or try to get a civil harassment against me when you are the one who has been preventing me from coming to do inspection and maintenance at my home? So we went. The judge was like, oh, you all should do mediation, because I didn't really have time to get my stuff together because I found out kind of last minute. And so he was shocked when I walked into the courtroom because I was never served. He was shocked when I brought in a witness, a gentleman who had everybody's an illegal occupant in the house, but I'll tell you about that story. But he came because he got tired of being there. He came with me to court and we did the mediation. What he did was he retaliated against my witness. He called the police station and filed a false statement against my witness. And then he went and filed for a temporary restraining order and civil harassment on my witness. We go to court, Day Day don't even show up. Why did you go and file that against my witness? And then he used information from another person in the home against my particular witness, and it was actually false and taken out of context. So, what did my witness and I do? We'll call him Mr. C. Mr. C and I then went and filed against Day Day. I filed a civil harassment, but I also filed domestic violence because Day Day had done some things against me, some sexual assault, but then he also attempted to cause irreparable harm to me. So when someone serves you with court documents, you need to find out the key words. What are the key words that the judges will be looking for? Because with domestic violence, it's a little different than civil harassment. With domestic violence, you have to show irreparable harm and that they will also continue to cause it if you don't get a protective order. With civil harassment, there are other things you have to look at. Like, will they, if they continue that particular, behavior, how harmful it is to you. And then there are other things too. But I got my protective order. In the midst of me getting the protective order, Day Day filed a complaint against my Nevada nursing license. And then I found out November that he also filed against the Nevada Board of Pharmacy. So thank God for malpractice insurance. It covered my attorney fees. And so therefore, those attorneys represented me. And everything about it was false. The things that he accused me of, it's ridiculous. I paid for he and his daughter's weight loss medications. He didn't pay me a dime, but you're going to sit and try to file a complaint on me about that and make other accusations. They were all false. And that was one of the things that also helped me get the protective order against Day Day. So then from there, next thing you know, I'm getting notifications. Oh, he has filed another lawsuit, a $2 or $3 million lawsuit claiming I'm interfering with his peaceful enjoyment. And it's like, are you joking with me? So there were three things because Day Day, I found out, forged my signature on a document. And because someone filed a complaint on him. DPSS called me as the property owner. And then on that conversation, I find out Day Day forged my signature on a sublease agreement with DPSS. I'd never seen the agreement. I didn't sign it. He obviously photoshopped my signature from another document onto that one. I recorded the phone conversation with the lady. So it was like a snowball effect. I went to the police. I filed a report of forgery. Come to find out, Day Day didn't give me his real name. Last name is correct, but the first name is incorrect. So when I went to do my checks, nothing came up under that alias name. When I put his true name, his legal name on it, this Day Day was a convicted sex offender. He was imprisoned for rape, forcible rape, sodomy, and kidnapping. In a document that I found, there were 8 other counts against Day Day that weren't even prosecuted. He spent time in prison. But Day Day wanted to, show. That's what narcissists do. They make themselves seem important and they are so needed. They are so important. But when somebody comes up against a narcissist, they will victim blame. They will make themselves become a victim and try to make the person a monster when it's really the opposite. One of the other things I noticed about Day Day is that he projects. He's the sex offender, But he would say, oh, she's having a personal relationship with the witness. That's not true. I'm a person, I have a good heart. I'm an empath, which is something I found out. So Day Day just, Day Day, he's just lied. He's a liar. So from that, I basically found out, okay, all these things. He got fired from a job for embezzlement, which led to me finding out other things. He sent me, and I have the documents in my text messages, that he had written a book on autism. There is no record of him writing a book on autism. I looked everywhere, Google, Hall, everywhere, couldn't find it. Then he claimed he had been working at a school. Convicted sex offenders cannot work at a school. Even if they get a certificate of rehabilitation, it depends on the offense. So when I went to I think it's the CTC, the California Teacher Credentialing Company, his teaching licenses were revoked between 2009 and 2013. So how is it February of 2025 and you're sending me pictures of you in a classroom? How did that happen? But he has a twin brother who has the exact same initials as him. When I compared the screenshots he sent me and what I saw online, they were his brother's credentials, what he was showing me. Weren't his, because all of his were revoked. So it's like God just continued to reveal these things about this person. And what happens when expose a narcissist? They just fire back with more retaliation. So next thing I know, I think he filed a third lawsuit. And it's like, at this point, Los Angeles County Superior Courts. How often are you going to allow people to use a fee waiver to file malicious reports? Then, as I'm trying to, talk to LAPD, the 77 station, all they're doing is giving me the runaround. But yet somehow Day Day has continued to get the attention of people, because while I'm speaking with the sexual assault team, Day Day somehow, I guess, tried to file a theft report on me. And I asked the lead detective, older black gentleman, I said, theft of what, sir? My home was fully furnished when I left. So tell me, what did I steal? And then I found out Day Day was telling people that he owned my home. The first time I heard it, I didn't think anything of it. But then it's like there was a pattern. He tried to, take over or use another nonprofit and put his name on it. He wanted to represent my wound care company, but he wanted me to put his name on it as the owner. And I was like, no, I'm not putting your name as an owner. That's my company. And no, I'm not putting your company name down there. So Day Day always wants to use people. See, that's what a narcissist will do. They will use you for your benefit. When you no longer are beneficial for them, they either walk away or they try to annihilate. And so all of these things that Day Day did, he tried to basically bankrupt me. But God said no. He tried to lie on me. God has said no. I'm pretty sure there's more things that he has done that I don't even know about. But this is how the Mental Health Collective began, because of this situation that I have gone through with Day Day. So the Mental Health Collective, and also Empaths Anonymous, because narcissists love to target empaths because we want to help. We want to, we don't want people to hurt. But in that hurt, I am so thankful and grateful that God has given me beauty for ashes. Because what Day Day did to me, all it did was reactivate the person who I've always been. And I was originally a loving person about business, praying to God, praising God, tithing, speaking tongues when I have to go to battle. So I want to thank Day Day. Thank you, Day Day, for bringing out and reactivating Regina. So, you guys, Remember, delay doesn't mean denial. Things may not go the way you want them to go, but it doesn't mean that the Father is not listening. When you are in battle, read Psalms 23, Psalms 35, Psalms, what is the other one? Um, let's see, 35, 91. Ooh, and Psalms 109. Pray on it. Don't make any rash decisions. Remember, divine repayment comes from God. If you or your family go and hurt somebody, that is a quick. If you kill them, if you harm them, now you're going to go to jail. You're not going to allow God to get his divine repayment when you go and you interfere. I'm not saying don't do anything. Go file your reports, do what you got to do, but don't. Please do not do any type of violence against anyone. Now, if you got to do self defense, that's different, okay? But I want to welcome you to the Mental Health Collective. I want to welcome you to Empaths Anonymous. We will have special guests coming into our podcast, and they will tell you about their personal victories, their trials with anxiety, depression, grief, PTSD. So I want to welcome you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Okay, that was 26 minutes.
That was good.